Chapter 9. We read it. The next week goes by all too quickly, and before you know it, it's the day before James flies to LA. You help him pack up the last of his things. So that's the last box? Yep, that's everything. You're sure you don't want to take any furniture with you? It'd be more trouble than it's worth. Besides, now the subletter won't have to buy anything. Come on, let's take a break. The two of you flop down on the sofa. You're pretty calm for someone about to move thousands of miles away. If I were in your shoes, I'd be bursting with excitement. I still can't believe you're moving to Hollywood. Neither can I, Cinnamon. Quite literally, the reality of it hasn't set in yet. Even with all your stuff packed? Maybe it'd be different if I had to look at the apartment empty, but... James' phone rings, interrupting him. He checks it and gives you an apologetic look before answering. Hello? Right, okay, I've actually got someone coming by very soon, but I'll see what I can do. Talk to you later. He hangs up the phone and turns to you. I had to do this, Cinnamon, but Yasmin just reminded me that I need to get some forms to her before the office closes. I do it myself, but the subletter is going to be here in a few minutes. Say no more. I've got this. Thank you. The paper's already in the car. He takes his car keys out of his pocket and hands them to you. I've got her office address saved in my GPS. Just follow the directions and you'll be there in no time. You drive over to Yasmin's office. When you enter, Yasmin is too busy talking on the phone to notice you. He won't turn me down if he knows what's good for him. I'm the one who could make or break his career. Yasmin glances over her shoulder and sees you. She presses the phone to her chest. Are those James' forms? Yes. Were you talking about... Just leave the papers there on the table. Now, if you'll excuse me. She lifts the phone back to her ear. You drop the forms on her desk and let yourself out. You pick James up at his apartment, and he drives the two of you to a restaurant for dinner. Thanks again for dropping those forms off for me. No problem, but there's something I think you should know about Yasmin. What is it, Cinnamon? I think that she's trying to manipulate you. Manipulate me? What are you talking about? When I was dropping off the forms, I heard Yasmin say something like, he won't refuse because I control his career or something. Is that all? Cinnamon, she was probably just complaining about a stubborn client. I don't know, the whole thing seemed a little nefarious. I don't worry about it, even if she was talking about me. I'm sure it was just about some contract she thinks I should sign. Besides, my parents deal with people like Yasmin all the time. They've taught me what to do. Well, if you're sure, I'm sorry, I guess I'm just being paranoid about you leaving. Oh no, apology necessary. It's good to know you're watching out for me. Always. A minute later, the check arrives and James pays. You start to pack up your things. Ready to go? Can we wait a minute? I'd rather not rush. Oh, okay. You sit back down. Man, I'm going to miss this place. My parents took me here when I first visited Hartfeld. Kinda poetic that you're back then. Maybe so. You know I'm a sucker for poetry. You know I've always kinda wanted to try out their photo booth. What are you waiting for? I was hoping you'd say that. You pull James over to the photo booth and you put in a $5 bill. The two of you step inside. 3, 2, 1. Pose. Hug. Pose. Stick out your tongue. Pose. Charlie's Angels. The two of you take one look at the silly photos and explode with laughter. Best photos ever. I'll keep these with me in LA for whenever I need a smile. Come on, Cinnamon, let's go for a walk. There's a park near here. Lead the way. The two of you walk around the park for a while as evening turns into night. It really is getting dark later and later, isn't it? Yeah, I guess it is, and Northbridge is so pretty in the spring. It's starting to hit you that you're leaving? Yeah, I should have known this would happen. So I guess the photo booth wasn't closure enough. I don't know, the more I think about it, the more I feel like something's missing. Any ideas? Maybe we could do one last reading of your play. Please, anything but that. What? It's a great play. I appreciate it, but I'm going to be living and breathing that script for the next several months. That's fair, I was just thinking that was a huge part of your life at Hartfeld. It was. You keep walking for a bit until you pass a cemetery. I didn't know there was a graveyard here. Funny that you're still learning things after 3 years. Yeah, you know. I still haven't been to Vasquez's grave. You haven't? Apparently the funeral was really small, and I was going to visit, but I got so busy with all this moving stuff. Have you? No, I'm guessing you know where he's buried. Gabriella told me he's buried in another cemetery not far from here. Then let's go. We can make a stop at a grocery store and get some flowers. It's a quiet night at the graveyard and the moon is out. You feel a few raindrops start to fall on your skin. It sure is spooky here. Let's not linger. Do you know where Vasquez's grave is? I think Gabriella said it would be towards the back. The two of you walk slowly to the back of the cemetery, scanning all the while for Vasquez's name. There it is. Enrique Vasquez. All of us failed to match our dreams of perfection, so I rate us on the basis of our splendid failure to do the impossible. He would request a Faulkner quote for his tombstone. Remember the first time I set foot in Vasquez's office and he complained that Faulkner never had to deal with bumbling assistants? He said the last one wore too many stripes. He laughed for a moment, then sighed as he stared down at the gravestone. Strange to think that only happened a few months ago. It feels like I knew him for a long time, but I guess I didn't really. Maybe not, but I think this tombstone makes it clear how much of an impact you had on him. You think so? I worked as Vasquez for 3 years, and the one thing I remember most is that he had no patience for human error. Not mine, not his assistant's, and certainly not his own. I think that's why he was so hesitant to reach out to Gabriella for all these years. And then you showed up and you were everything Professor Vasquez thought he hated, and yet you completely turned his life around. Because of you, he was able to pass away knowing he was loved and will be remembered. Wow. Of course, that's just my interpretation, and the beauty of the written word is that it could be read in an infinite number of ways. I guess we'll never know for sure. We take a step toward the tombstone and begin to speak. Hi, Professor Vasquez, it's Cinnamon. I'm here with James, and, I'm trying to remember what you taught me. Every challenge I face and every mistake I make is just another part of my story. Life may not go exactly the way I want it to, but that's what makes it interesting. I wouldn't be where I am today if you hadn't pushed me to embrace both the good and the bad things in life. So I guess what I'm trying to say is thank you and goodbye. That was beautiful, Cinnamon. You turn to see James standing beside you. Thanks, hope I was able to do his memory justice. I think he'd be very happy to hear what you said. Would you like a turn? I would. You step back and let James speak. Professor Vasquez, I don't know how to thank you. You've had such a profound impact on every part of my life. Your classes ignited a passion in me. You taught me the power and beauty of the written word, something I hope to dedicate my life to. Thank you, Professor Vasquez, for everything. He turns back to you. Here, Cinnamon, take some of these flowers. He hands you part of the bouquet, and you bend down to lay it at the foot of the tombstone. James follows a moment later. Goodbye, Professor Vasquez. You step back and take one last look before walking back to the car. Cinnamon, can I ask you something? Of course, James. What is it? How do you think Professor Vasquez would feel about me moving to LA? I think he'd be very proud of you. You think so? I know so. I can just imagine him saying, James, I'm honored to have taught you. Perhaps we'll be able to show Hollywood what true art is. You put a hand on James' shoulders. Let's go home. It's late by the time you return to campus. Caitlin is waiting for you. Hey, Caitlin, thanks for letting me commander your room for the night. There's a bit of confusion, and the subletter ended up moving in a day early. You're welcome. Hope you don't mind being watched by dolls all night. What? She's talking about her horror movie posters. Don't worry about it. Where is everyone? I don't know, probably sleeping. It is pretty late. I see. Well, I've got an early flight to catch, so I'll be going to bed now. Good night, you two. Good night, James. You quickly get ready for bed before me and Caitlin in your room. Hey, ready for this slumber party? I was born ready. You climb into bed and Caitlin wraps her arms around you. Okay, what's the plan? Are we going to braid each other's hair and paint our nails? Maybe in a bit. Thanks again for letting James stay in your room tonight. Hey, it's no problem. As long as he doesn't mind that I haven't washed my sheets in a while. How are you holding up? I know this must be hard for you. James is one of my best friends. I'm sad that he's leaving, and honestly, I'm worried about him. Do you think James is making a mistake? Maybe. I'm worried that the industry will chew him up and spit him out. James is such a sweet guy, I can easily see people in the biz taking advantage of him. Hey, James is a smart cookie. I'm sure he'll get the hang of it. And even if things don't work out in California, he can always come back to Hartford. But it would still take a toll on him. I'm afraid he'll blame himself and doubt his writing abilities if this doesn't work out. Caitlin pulls you closer and kisses the top of your head as you start to sniffle. Hey, don't cry. James is going to be fine because he's got a friend who cares so much about him. You bury your face against Caitlin's neck as she rubs your back. You have every right to be upset. Let it all out. After all, you sit up and wipe your eyes. Caitlin leans forward, kissing you softly. I'm here for you, whatever you need. Thanks, Caitlin. Let's just go to bed. I have to get up early to see James off tomorrow. Yeah, of course, we can save the hair braiding for another time. Caitlin kisses your forehead and switches off the light. Sweet dreams, Cinnamon. You wake up the next morning at the crack of dawn to see James off at the airport. You meet Yasmin by the security line. We need to be on the plane in 30 minutes, so make it quick. I'll be back soon. The two of you watch her walk toward the restroom before turning back to each other. So I guess this is goodbye. Hang on, I've got something for you. He reaches into his bag and pulls out a sheet of paper. This is a round-trip open ticket to LA. If you ever need to see me for any reason or just want to get away, this will get you there. James, you didn't have to do this. I know, but I want to. I know it's not refundable or transferable, so you've got no excuse not to use it. Oh, James. James wraps his arms around you in a tight hug. It's over too soon. James, it's time to go. Right. Goodbye, Cinnamon. Goodbye, James. James places his bags on the conveyor belt and walks toward the metal detector. Yasmin whispers in your ear. Just so you know, if you do anything to come between me and James, there will be consequences. Come between you and James. Don't you dare make a move on him. Watch it, young lady. Remember, Gabriella may have final say about that book you're writing, but her opinion can be easily swayed by her publisher. Toodles. Yasmin waves goodbye before following James from the metal detector. You watch her put her arm around James as they walk toward the gate. Without James' help, is your book doomed to fail? And what of Yasmin's plans? Keep applying to find out all this and more. That's chapter 9 complete. Subscribe and turn the notification bell if you want to see chapter 10. Bye, guys.